4,000. In order to reward those who listen and watch us live, you have an opportunity to win fantastic prizes on our short quiz segment. Listen on and watch out for the simple question. It could be your turn to win this week. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.
Dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó.
If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. Right now, we take the news. Hello, good afternoon and welcome. This is the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim. First, the headlines. Now graduates 58 inmates, 28,740 other students. NSSEC commences 5-day training for teachers. Pay our members' salaries before May 29, ASUP tells Delta States. And on the foreign scene, thousands of education workers launch strike in the U.S. Now the details. The National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN, has said that it will award degrees to a total of 28,740 students, including 58 inmates, at its 12th convocation ceremony coming up on Saturday today. Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Olufemi Peters, who made this known at the pre-convocation news conference on Tuesday in Abuja, noted that 2 out of the 58 inmates are postgraduate students, while the remaining 56 would be awarded bachelor's degrees in various fields, having completed their programs at the various Nigerian Correctional Service Studies centers across the country. He explained that the graduating inmates studied under scholarships provided by NOUN as part of the university's corporate social responsibility. He also disclosed that 6 students graduated with first class and 2,306 with second class upper division. Furthermore, he disclosed that NOUN currently has 131,000 active students and a total enrollment of 250 students, saying the Open University has justified the purpose of its establishment, which was because the conventional universities could not absorb all candidates who were qualified to be admitted into traditional face-to-face institutions. National Senior Secondary Education Commission (NSSEC) on Wednesday in Ilorin, Kwara State has commenced a 5-day training program for teachers in 2 core secondary school subjects of English language and mathematics. The 116 participants in the training program were drawn from the North Central State and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) Abuja as part of measures to check poor performance of students in the 2 core subjects. Declaring the program open, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, represented by the State Commissioner for Education and Human Capital Development, Hajia Sadatu Modibo Kawu, thanked the Commission for choosing Kwara State as the host of the training program, while stating that the state had invested a lot of resources in the education sector, especially in the training and retraining of teachers. Also, the Executive Secretary of NSSEC, Professor Benjamin Abakwa, in his welcome address, said the Commission was kicking off the first edition of reskilling teachers after pilot testing the manuals on difficult concepts in English language and mathematics with teachers from selected public and private schools at FCT. Furthermore, Ambassador Nimota Akombi, the chairman of NSEC, in a goodwill message, noted that students' performance in English language and mathematics in the external examinations had been consistently poor, which is why she charged resource persons at the training program to simplify the teaching methods of the two core subjects for the teachers who would do the same for their students. Lastly, Akombi praised Governor Abdulrazak for his commitment to the program. The Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, has called on various state governments owing their lecturers several months' salaries to pay up before the expiration of their administrations on May 29. The president of the union, Anderson Ezeibe, who made the call in an interview with newsmen, said it was disheartening that some state governors in the country no longer see payments of salaries of lecturers and other workers in their states owned polytechnics as important, let alone a priority. Furthermore, it disclosed that no fewer than 5 states engage in this kind of attitude nationwide, noting that one of them, Abia State, is owing more than 30 months while the rest are owing between 2 and 5 months. He said the most disturbing thing about the situation is that most of these states still go about misinforming the public through the media that do not owe their workers' salaries. Thus, Ezeibe charged the states to offset their bills and in full without further delay, as there is no glory in employers of labor denying their workers their wages, and doing so is an act of wickedness. Lastly, the ASU president said that apart from the irregular payments of salaries by these states, polytechnic lecturer salaries across board are not only meager but also losing value by the day because of the high inflation in the country, as he advised each state government to start the next administration on a clean slate rather than with inherited debts. And on the foreign scene, tens of thousands of education workers in the second largest school district in the United States, the Los Angeles Unified School District, have walked off the job to demand higher wages and staffing levels. The 3-day strike began on Tuesday with demonstrations set up by members of Local 99 of the Service Employees International Union, which represents about 30,000 teachers, aides, special education assistants, bus drivers, custodians, and other support staff. Workers joined picket lines in the early morning amid stormy weather, with some holding signs reading, "We keep schools safe, respect us," and they were joined by supportive teachers who also work in the district, which counts more than 500,000 students from Los Angeles, California, and all are part of 25 other cities and nearby areas. The strike is the latest example of increased labor activity in the U.S., where workers across a variety of sectors have turned to unions with renewed interest as they seek better wages, benefits, and working conditions. U.S. Congressman Adam Schiff, who is running to represent California in the U.S. Senate, expressed his support for the education workers' strike, stating that the workers with some of the most important responsibilities in their schools should not have to live in poverty. While workers are calling for a 30% wage increase, the union said it was in contact with states authorities over allegations that the district had impeded the right of workers to organize. That's all on the news for today, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. Noun graduates 58 inmates, 28,740 other students. NSEC commences 5-day training for teachers. Pay our members' salaries before May 29, ASUP tells Delta State. And on the foreign scene, thousands of education workers launch strike in the U.S. That's all for the news for today. It was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Don't forget, for the coverage of your educational competitions, fairs, programs, trainings, seminars, among others, you can call us on 0702-507-4268. Again, 0702-507-4268. Or you can reach us via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
sẹ̀. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe, tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe, tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
That's all we can take on the news today. Right now, we move on with the icon of the week. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. KAZEEM.
Good afternoon, Nima. You're welcome to the Icon of the Week segment, where we'll consider the life and times of individuals that lived inspiring lives and contributed immensely to educational development in our world. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Our icon for this week is the great educator, psychologist, and medical doctor, Dr. Maria Montessori. Maria Tecla Artemisia Montessori was an Italian physician and educator, best known for the Montessori philosophy of education. Montessori is a method of education that is based on self-directed activity, hands-on learning, and collaborative play. In Montessori classroom, children make creative choices in their learning, while the classroom and the highly trained teacher offer age-appropriate activities to guide the process. Children work in groups and individually to discover and explore knowledge of the world and to develop their maximum potential. Maria Montessori was born on 31st August 1870 in Chiaraval, Italy. She was a sterling student, confident, ambitious, and unwilling to be limited by traditional expectations for women. At the age of 13, she entered an all-boys technical institute to prepare for a career in engineering. In time, however, she changed her mind, deciding to become a doctor instead. She applied to the University of Rome's medical program but was rejected. Maria took additional courses to better prepare her for entrance to the medical school and persevered. With great effort, she gained admittance, opening the door a bit wider for future women in the field. When she graduated from medical school in 1896, Maria was among Italy's first female physicians. Although she was not the first female medical school graduate, as reported by many of her biographers, it does not detract from her accomplishment. Defying conventions, norms, and expectations to successfully make her way in this rigorous male-dominated field required tremendous strength, dedication, and perseverance. Maria's early medical practice focused on psychiatry. She later developed an interest in education, attending classes on pedagogy and immersing herself in educational theory. Her studies led her to observe and call into question the prevailing methods of teaching children with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The opportunity to improve on these methods came in 1900 when she was appointed co-director of a new training institute for special education teachers. Maria approached the task scientifically, carefully observing and experimenting to learn which teaching methods work best. Many of the children made unexpected gains, and the program was proclaimed a success. In 1907, Maria accepted a challenge to open a full-day childcare center in San Lorenzo, a poor inner-city district of Rome. The students were underserved youngsters aged 3 to 7 who were left to their own devices while their parents went out to work. This center, the first of its kind in the nation and a high-quality learning environment, became the first Casa dei Bambini. The children were unruly at first, but soon showed great interest in working with puzzles, learning to prepare meals, and manipulating learning materials Maria had designed. She observed how the children absorbed knowledge from her surroundings, essentially teaching themselves. Using scientific observation and experience gained from her earlier work with young children, Maria designed learning materials and a classroom environment that fostered the children's natural desire to learn and provided freedom for them to choose their own materials. To the surprise of many, the children in Maria's programs thrived, exhibiting concentration, attention, and spontaneous self-discipline. The Montessori method began to attract the attention of prominent educators, journalists, and public figures. By 1910, Montessori schools could be found throughout Western Europe and were being established around the world, including the United States, where the first Montessori school opened in Tarrytown, New York in 1911. In the years following, and for the rest of her life, Maria dedicated herself to advancing her child-centered approach to education. She lectured widely, wrote articles and books, and developed a program to prepare teachers in the Montessori method. Through her efforts and the work of her followers, Montessori education was adopted worldwide. As a public figure, Maria also campaigned vigorously on behalf of women's rights. She wrote and spoke frequently on the need for greater opportunities for women and was recognized in Italy and beyond as a leading feminist voice. Maria Montessori pursued her ideals in turbulent times. Living through war and political upheaval inspired her to add peace education to the Montessori curriculum. But she could do little to avoid being ensnared in world events. Traveling in India in 1940, when hostilities between Italy and Great Britain broke out, she was forced to live in exile for the remainder of the war. There, she took the opportunity to train teachers in her method. At war's end, she returned to Europe, spending her final years in Amsterdam, Netherlands. She died peacefully in a French garden on May 6, 1952. That's it today on the Icon of the Week. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues. Please stay with us.
That was the Icon of the Week. We celebrate the great doctor, psychologist, and educator, Dr. Maria Montessori. And now it's time to move into the discuss segment. And now it's time to take the profession of the week. When we return, it will be time for the discuss segment. Please stay with us.
Good day, and welcome again to the segment for the profession of the week. I am Said Olanrewaju Aremu. Here in this segment, we x-ray a particular profession or field of human endeavor within the educational sector, and I will be telling you what it is about, the knowledge and educational qualifications required for admission into tertiary institutions, the years of training required, and the schools that have the accreditations to offer these courses. On today's episode, we are considering an interesting field of human endeavor, which is early childhood education. Early childhood education, or ECE, is considered the official term for teaching young kids. More specifically, it refers to formal and informal educational programs that guide the growth and development of children through their preschool years, from birth to the age of 5. Children at these ages are entirely dependent on their adult caregivers, including their parents, daycare providers, babysitters, extended family members, and teachers. ECE encompasses a wide variety of activities designed to promote children's cognitive and social development before entering the kindergarten. Some programs primarily focus on school and academic readiness, while others embrace a all-child approach that emphasizes mental and emotional preparedness. An early childhood education degree, also known as an ECE degree, gives prospective educators many different opportunities to teach and cultivate important lessons catered towards the development of young children. These varying opportunities come in the form of different educational occupations, all meant for specializations in early childhood education. Individuals in these roles will be able to make a real difference in the foundational knowledge of countless children. The various careers in this field include, but not limited to, a preschool teacher, kindergarten and elementary school teacher, nanny, child care center educator, child care worker, special education teacher, school counselor, and psychologist. To study early childhood education in the university, you need to write the UTME and the SSCE. So the requirements at the UTME level, the SSCE level, include 2 A-level passes from choosing relevant subjects, and this can be any subjects in the entire SSCE curriculum. At the O-level credit passes include English language and other subjects that are offered at this SSC level also. While the UTME subject combination for early childhood education include English and any 3 other subjects. The list of universities offering early childhood education in Nigeria include Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, University of Benin, the Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti, Federal College of Education, Pankishi, Plateau State, Ignatius Ajuru University of Education, Port Harcourt, University of Ibadan, Oyo State, Osun State College of Education, Ila-Orogun, University of Jos Plateau, Kwara State University, Malete, Kwaso, University of Lagos State, National Open University of Nigeria, the Taiso Lam University of Education, University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The average early childhood educator salary in the United States is, at the time of presenting this, is $42,759, but the salary range typically falls between $30,556 and $47,761. Salary ranges can vary widely depending on many important factors, including education, certifications, additional skills, the number of years you have spent in your profession. So here is a spotlight on some of the professions in early childhood education. A preschool teacher earns about $29,780 per year, while a kindergarten and elementary school teacher earns an average salary of $57,980 per year. A nanny can earn about $18 per hour, which is the minimum wage, while a childhood center educator earns about $47,940 per year. That's it for today on early childhood education. I am Aremu Sadlan. Until next time, please stay with us.
Bàtà mi àwọ̀
You are still on to Education Today, and right now we are moving into the discourse segment. Already, our guest is here with us, and we shall be concluding our discussion on Roadmap to 2023. Now, today's topic is Beyond the Elections, setting the education agenda for elected leaders. The 2023 elections have come and gone, and winners have emerged. Attention now shifts to election petitions and inauguration of the elected leaders. Now, while many promises have been made during the campaigns, it remains to be seen how such will be translated into realities to bring the much desired changes and dividends of democracy to the citizens. On today's program, we intend to interrogate the expectations of the populace from the leaders within the education sector after the elections. Discussing this topic is a lecturer, a public affairs commentator, an educational consultant, and our in-house analyst, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Ima, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Don't forget, you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809 738 4000. Again, 0809 738 4000. Or you can drop your comments via the live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. So now, quickly, before moving into the discuss segments proper, our short quiz question for today, for this edition, is: in what year and city did Maria Montessori die? Again, in what year and city did Maria Montessori die? You remember Maria Montessori, right? Yeah, our icon for today. So send your answers to the WhatsApp number 0809 738 4000 or to our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize. The first correct answer wins the prize. May the best and fastest person win. So now, quickly, Mr. KAZEEM, it's good to have you back as our in-house analyst after such a long. Well, how do you feel?
Oh, well, it's good to be here, and it's also good that we have listened to other people, attend the program. That's all, the viewers, the audience were actually promised that different guests would come. And, it was more like during the period of the election.
Exactly.
It was election season, actually, starting from, December, January till now. So we've just finished the election. So it's nice to be back.
Okay, so taking it from the top, how would you rate the election, the process, and then the outcome? Was it as expected, or, there were a few changes? Basically, the elections, how would you rate it?
Oh, well, there are different things to look at, but for me, it's more like a learning experience for Nigerians, because for INEC, it has actually tried its best in order to improve, the quality, the credibility of the elections by introducing technology.
Yes.
And with Beavers, as far as I'm concerned, Beavers is actually the champion as far as this election is concerned, because with Beavers, we're able to realize so many things, so many manufactured figures in the past elections. And at the end of the day, a lot of people now have realized that the votes of the people really count. And at the same time, they understand the fact that rigging election has become very, very difficult. So one thing that you can do is that you canvass and encourage people to come out to vote for you, if you actually want to win the election. Or for some people, which is a negative aspect of it, that if actually you don't want your opponent to win, one of the ways by which you have to do is to actually prevent them from voting. Unfortunately, that's rather unfortunate. But the thing is, one way or the other, we have seen how things can work. So it's only about, are we ready to actually make things work? So that is that. And for me, for the fact that there are so many things that change in this election, where a lot of people that you never thought could actually win election have won.
Yes.
Then for the fact that for a lot of politicians have actually been taught a very hard political lessons of their life. A lot of people losing, offices. A lot of, political office holders losing, not just even in their polling. A lot of people that you have expected that would have had a landslide or easily win an election,
yes,
now eventually lost the election. So many people have actually been retired politically. So these are some of the things that I feel that one way or the other, to me, it's a positive thing. I feel positive in some aspects of the election. So, and for the fact that a lot of Nigerians actually, the zeal that want to participate, especially the new set of voters, for some of them, yes, and for some others, but still, for me, looking at the percentage of participation, that's where I actually have an issue.
Okay.
It has been dropping since, and unfortunately, this year's election only just about 20% participation. That's
Wow.
incredibly low,
Very
and I don't know what
very
exactly is
low.
responsible for that. But I think for us, we really need to investigate, and interrogate the whole election process to see what are the negatives and how can we actually work on them, and what are the positives and how can we enhance them.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So because this program is centered around education and, advancements of educational system in Nigeria, the closure of schools for 4 weeks, how do you feel about that? Do you think that was a good move on the government's part?
For me, I wasn't too comfortable with the idea of actually shutting down schools for 4 weeks. Initially, it was planned for 3 weeks.
Yes.
Because of the postponement of the governorship election, the state elections, the governorship and the House of Assembly election. So that meant schools were actually shut for 4 weeks. And you're talking about a lot for universities, for instance. You're talking about universities that actually suffered ASU strike for almost
Exactly.
8 months in 2022. Now you also shut them for 4 weeks. I wasn't too comfortable. But at the same time, if you look at it from the angle of the government, because we have to be very, very objective and realistic in with what we are doing, that the government decided to shut the school down for the safety of the students, for the safety of the staff, for the safety of the school itself, the facilities.
Yes.
Then now imagine some of the reactions that trailed the release of the presidential election. Imagine if you have the millions of students on campuses at that particular time. What would probably have happened? I can't imagine what would have happened. So one way or the other, the protection of those facilities and the lives of Nigerians actually, for me, is more important. It is the person that is alive that will actually go to school, that will learn.
Yes.
So you have to be alive to be able to learn. So on that basis, we might say it is justified. But for me, I'm only trying to look at the effect on the students, and I'm talking about this, especially looking from not just from my own angle. For instance, I work in a university, and I know that during that period, for some of my students, I actually moved my lectures online because I can't imagine having to come back after 4 weeks and probably start afresh. Because a lot of them might have even forgotten what we have done.
Some
We
were
just
even in
started-
the midst of exams.
So yeah, they had
like
to,
last year, yes.
pause it. For some of them like that, they might feel that better opportunity for them to prepare.
Exact.
But for some, it could actually, distract them, and by the time they come back, they might really not be the same. So it's neither here nor there. For me, there are positives here and there are also negatives. I'm trying to imagine schools that actually don't have facilities for online, teaching,
Classes.
for virtual classes. So that would have actually, truncated the flow of the semester. Now universities have to adjust their academic calendar and so many other things like that. But by and large, for the fact that the students are still safe and they're able to come back to campus, that's
So I think that's fair enough. Okay, so quickly, what are the things we should expect from the outgoing government at the federal and state levels, considering the fact that ASUP is already crying out to some of the states owing their staff members about paying so that the incoming administration do not inherit debts instead. So what do you think about that?
First is that for the fact that we just finished an election, I expect that for any outgoing government, either at the federal level or the state government, must have put in place their transition committees now.
Okay.
So that at the end of it, it will be easy for them to collate the records of what they have done, their outstanding liabilities, the existing assets and things like that, for the incoming administration to know where to start from. That's one. Then number two is also the fact that if there are outstanding liabilities, let them try as much as possible to settle them, because it will rather unsettle the next administration if that is what they have to start battling with. Imagine, look at a state like Abia State that is owing its workers 30 months. That is inhumane. That is ridiculous.
That's more than 2 years.
That
Close
is
to 3 years.
That's very, very terrible. 2.5 years specifically. 30 months. Now imagine, so if there are outstanding liabilities like that for the outgoing administration, let them know this is not the period to start looting the states dry. That after all we are going, so let us pack as much as we can. No. So I expect them to try as much as possible to give the incoming administration a soft landing. So on that basis, let them clear outstanding issues, if there are agreements that you have reached with workers, with school teachers, you have promised some things that you'll fix. Some of them, they were in the name of election gimmicks, trying to say that, okay, don't worry, we'll double your salary or increase your salary, or we'll do this, we'll fix this things before we go. Don't worry, this project we will not leave them as abandoned projects for the income administration. We will make sure we finish it. Let them try as much as possible to work on these things. It is very, very important, because by the time the new one comes, especially for outstanding agreements that I've had probably with unions, probably teacher unions, lecturers in polytechnics, colleges of education, or universities, the next administration will tell you that, I was not the one that signed this thing with you. So you have to give me enough time to be able to study.
It's not going to make the work of the incoming administration, and people will know all this. They will just
they just say that you have come here, you have not done anything.
It's just
meanwhile, it's trying to settle, outstanding liabilities and things like that. So I think that for them, let them not, cause troubles and a lot of hitches for the new administration.
Okay, so in the same vein, what challenges facing the educational system at various levels do you think the new, the incoming administrations at states and federal levels, what challenges do you think they need to quickly settle?
All right, first is for them, this is also not time for them to probably now start dancing and celebrating because they have won election. It's actually the time for them to start preparing to take over. Let them start noticing the issues that are outstanding for the outgoing administration now, so they know what they are going to face, and let them try to okay, what are we going to do about this? I think it's also time for them to actually set up their teams to work with, so that by the time they come in, they can actually start the work immediately, hit the ground running, and not have to wait and say we are trying to understudy one thing or the other. That is the teams that work with them for different ministries. Let them have them now, so that those ones can start their preparatory work and strategizing on how to handle some of these issues that probably might not get settled before they eventually get inaugurated. So let them look at that. I also expect them to also set up their own transition committee that would liaise and interface with the transition committee of the outgoing administration. In terms of the challenges that are out there, educationally in Nigeria, we have about 20 million out of school children. That is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. And you cannot say, well, after all, it did not start from me. You would have to handle those issues, because government is a continuum.
Yes.
Now, you inherit the asset as much as the liabilities. You cannot just inherit the asset and say liability, after all, I was not the one that started this issue. You were voted in to solve problems, not to come and recant the problems to us that, this the last administration did this. We know they are not good. That's why we voted you in. Okay. So please don't come and, we don't want the rehash of all the problems that we already know are existing. We know they exist, and that's why we actually brought you in to tackle them. So it's not for you to start telling us the problems again. It is for you to come up with methods, the strategies, the tactics that you want to adopt in solving them. So that is one. The issue of, these strikes, especially at the tertiary level, is also another thing. Because look at this administration, for instance, at the federal level. ASU went on strike last year.
Yes.
That issue was not resolved. Government only used its own abracadabra and its own veto. That is there. Apart from being in court, you are talking about 7.5 months outstanding salaries that are owed. And let me tell you, by the time the new administration comes in, if it is not addressed, another strike will actually be loading.
It's looming already.
So it's for them to start thinking, what do we do about such issues? The issue of educational funding. If you look at our budget, this is just about 7.9%. I'm talking about a developing country with a lot of deficit in terms of infrastructure, in terms of personnel for the educational system, teachers at various levels of our educational system, not just teachers. How about the facilities for the students? These are the issues. So let them start thinking. And I expect that one way or the other, if it is possible, let them organize a retreat. Federal government in conjunction with the state government, on how moving forward, so that there will be a synergy between what the federal government is doing and what the states are doing. A lot of times they work at across purposes, at parallel lines. that will never meet. And at the end of the day, federal government will be moving on one part, the states will also be moving at another part. And by the time you do that, the efforts will not show either for the federal government or for the state government. So they need to work together.
Yes.
So I think these are some of the issues. There are so many other issues actually confronting the educational system. But in the immediate,
Yes.
those are some of the things. So the issues that have confronted this current administration, either at the federal or the state level, let them look at it. So that at the end of then the issue of just establishment, see, the truth of the matter is this administration is actually facing funding challenges.
Okay.
Now, for these funding challenges, it remain the same. So let them start thinking, how can we effectively fund our educational system so that things will not crumble?
And things will not remain the same.
It will remain the same. In fact, it will deteriorate if you don't look for creative means by which we can generate funds to be able to fund the educational system.
Okay, so you are still listening to Education Today on Light Radio, and on our discuss segment today, we are taking a look at beyond the elections, setting the education agenda for elected leaders. Our guest has been our in-house analyst, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. So, do we have a winner? Do we have a winner yet?
Well, I don't know yet, but we'll check.
All right. So, continuing with the discussion, what changes or new things would you like to see in our education, like on a general note?
Well, for me, I think there is a need to critically address the issue of the curriculum.
Wow.
Yes, there is a need for us to really address our curriculum. The curriculum and the method of teaching. So there is a need for retraining of our teachers, and there is a need for us to revise our curriculum. It doesn't make sense that we are training students with the curriculum of about 20 years ago and want them to function in the 21st century. No, just imagine a situation where you compare the textbook that you're still using in schools now, and you compare the content with what other countries of the world are actually facing at the moment. And this cuts across all the levels of our education. So I want to see a revised curriculum. I want to see teachers adopt, new methods of teaching. And I want to see the infusion of technology. Real infusion, not, just, something that you mouth that, yes, we have infused technology by just giving tabs. A lot of these tabs actually don't even have colored faces. They don't even have, materials there. They are just a case of, just take this, the content alone, just to mark attendance and things like that. That is not an infusion of technology. We're talking about the fact that where you are teaching a student and you can actually take them out of the classroom to the larger society and for them to actually see what is happening. That, for instance, we are talking about the era of climate change, and you are teaching chemistry, you are teaching carbon, and you cannot relate that with what is happening in the society. How, for instance, the burning of carbon monoxide actually affects the atmosphere, affects our breathing, affects the weather conditions, affect a whole lot of things. Climate change. So we have to adjust the way by which we teach. Then again, enough of students sitting on the floor. We need to employ more teachers.
Okay.
We need to also improve the facilities in our schools. If we want to have education, let us have education. What we have, we cannot call it education.
Okay.
Because at the end of it is not functional. And that's why you have graduates that finish from school, and yet they're asking themselves, what would I do after graduation?
Exactly.
Is that not ridiculous? That you're asking yourself, what would I do after graduation? What's the essence of all the years that you have spent in school then?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years and all the likes like that. It's rather terrible. So it's important that we also need to pay attention to this, so that we can truly say that the education we are giving our citizens is that which will make them globally competitive.
Okay.
Because we are training citizens for the world, not just Nigeria. We don't want local champions. We actually want global champions that can rub shoulders with their counterparts all over the world. And it's not a case we are only, because we have students that will memorize the whole textbooks. And when it gets to the practical aspect of it, they cannot perform. I can't imagine myself, for instance, because I can remember myself as a secondary school student, science student. The things I was able to do when I got to SSC was just by virtue of the fact that I had an opportunity through my dad to interact with a particular teacher, a chemistry teacher, who did a lot of practical. So that was when I now began to appreciate some of the things that we are doing. My SS1, SS2, I was just trying to promote. It's not as if I understood anything that we were doing, because there is no practical implication of what we're doing. So
even at the university levels.
At the university level, don't even go there. You imagine graduates of computer science that cannot write programs.
Exactly.
Or you are teaching them. Imagine still teaching people Fortran. Fortran that was introduced in 1977. Teaching them basic, teaching them COBOL. In this 21st century,
that we are using.
Well, how many people, now, how many of our universities, for instance, talk about finance, have probably thought of a cryptocurrency as part of the curriculum? Can't you see that we are just playing?
We are playing.
We are really playing. We are really playing. And that's why you have our graduates. Look at some of our central bank governors that will come up with policies that cannot meet with the demands of the current time. And that's why you're not just changing of a color of the naira, and you call that naira redesign, or because you say you are trying to introduce cashless policy, then the next thing you should take off all the cash in circulation. Does that make any sense? If that is what they are doing at that level, what then will we really expect of our universities?
All right, so I know we have this policy implementers listening, or we have people that know them that are listening. We
hope they listen. We hope they listen, because sincerely, there is a need for us to actually, declare an emergency on our educational system.
Wow, it has gotten to that level.
No, enough of Nigerians actually running. You see, now we engage in education tourism. It's not just about medical tourism. We're talking about Japa syndrome. Nigerians are running away. Experts, the best of hands, are running away. So that shows that one way or the other, there is no motivation for them to stay back in the country.
Yes.
Can we probably try to take a look at that? Our lecturers are going, our doctors are going, our IT specialists are also leaving this country. And that is a need. Who will be left? That's the reality. Look at UK just also opened its doors for teachers to come. And many Nigerian teachers have applied. They want to leave this country. Then if our best teachers leave, please, who will teach our children?
The younger generation.
So it is important that we take education as a priority. And the education that will be taken as a priority, we must be ready to fund it. We must be ready to also put in place the right set of people to manage education. Enough of journalists being appointed as ministers of education. Enough of doctors, those businessmen being appointed as ministers of education. Those that really don't even understand what is at stake. Enough of just politicians or just settling people for political patronage, and you are giving them ministerial positions, commissioner positions. We need professionals to run our educational system. Not a medical doctor being appointed as a labor minister. No, these are issues that we really need to face head on by the incoming administration. It is important if we really want to get things right. So we need to put the square pegs in, the right holes. Mm-hmm. So it is important. So I don't know.
So quickly, I want to believe that there are some, systems, and there are some policies in place that are good, that you consider good, and that you would like them to be retained by the incoming administration. So can you mention one or two of those? Oh,
well, there is this particular one. It is good, but it needs to actually be rejected because of the corruption that is inherent in it. Okay. One of it is the homegrown school feeding program of the federal government. It is a very, very good policy.
I had that in mind.
Because it's not just in Nigeria. It's actually a global policy.
Exactly.
Backed even by the United Nations.
I believe it can even help in reducing the number of out-of-school children that we have.
But then, the issue of security has actually affected the success of that program. Then corruption. Enough of just giving people responsibility without people that would supervise.
Checks and
See,
balances.
checks and balances, because the truth of the matter is, or at most, we can even do it in such a way that for parents, you do it on the basis of the attendance in school, then you reward the parents.
Yes, that's also a good idea.
Because it's a way by which you can, tweak it. So it's not just you give money to some contractors that will just go to school. At the end of the day, you are giving them food, and then if you check it, like, is this for human beings or dogs? So you look at it. If a parent allows a child to go to school for 1 month, then you get something in return.
You already calculate how much per day.
Yeah, per day. So that at the end of the day, the parent that knows that I will get something to be able to feed my family if my child goes to school, he'll be encouraged to send that child to school.
Stimulates them.
It stimulates them to also pay attention to it. And if you now say that if your child now performs well in school, then performance-based reward system, so that at the end of the day, the parents will be direct beneficiaries and the child himself or herself.
Yes.
So the issue of scholarships for such people and things like that, so that at the end of the day, you are also trying to reduce the burden on the parent. These are things that we should think of. It's not just about the fact that you have given contractors some work and nobody is supervising them, or those are even appointed to supervise them and say, where is my own cut? My share of the national cake. So we should not use education as just constituency projects like some people have turned it into. Then government should also checkmate this idea that of just setting up schools anyhow. Okay. We have existing schools that have not been properly funded and managed. Can we put a stop on the establishment of additional universities or additional tertiary institutions by the federal government for now, and see how we can assist the existing ones to expand their absorptive capacity? Okay. So that if a particular university, for instance, like University of Lagos, is saying, okay, I have 40,000 students, what can we do so that can increase its studentship to like 70,000 or 80,000? Or even now say, okay, let's even do it to 100 or 150,000, where you now have even some that will run on correspondence basis, just like the Open University. So that at the end of the day, distance learning, it is existing, but do they have the facility to be able to fully run such programs? Those are some of the things that we really need to look into. So the government has tried in terms of TED fund, let the incoming administration retain that. Then apart from that, the issue of university autonomy is something that they are saying, yes, universities would have autonomy, but let us look at autonomy in what sense? Is it in terms of funding, or in terms of the regulation of their staffing, or whatsoever? Also for the university, they also need to face the reality. If you want full autonomy, then you must also not say that government will also fund education 100%. We have to be realistic and pragmatic here. So these are some of the things that the positive things. See, the policies are there. It's not as if they are not good. Yes. There are so many policies that this administration has tried to implement. Some of the good ones, let us retain. Some that we feel that we really need to adjust, let us quickly start that process now, even before inauguration. So by the time you are eventually inaugurated, you know what to do straight up.
Okay, so it's been a very enlightening and interesting program. Dr. KAZEEM, on a final note, what message do you have for these new leaders as we approach the May 29 inauguration? What messages do you have for them? Now,
for me, first is that leadership is not a tea party.
Okay.
Neither is it a disco club. So we want those that are ready to work. Let them hit the ground running. That's number one. Okay. Number two is the election process has actually divided us as a nation. It has actually polarized our society on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of political affiliations, and what have you, even on the basis of generation. You have the younger generations looking at the older generation, at those that have failed them, and it's almost as if anything they can do to actually get them out of the way. Yes. So the incoming administration at the federal and state level should also look at ways by which they can unite the ranks of Nigerians. The division is just too much, and a house divided against itself cannot stand. We cannot afford to have this divided Nigeria the way it is. So in terms of policies, to let them look at policies that will unite us the more, in terms of their appointment and many other things like that. So it's not a case of you didn't vote for me, then you don't have. We have you as a winner. You are a winner of the state. You are a leader of the state. You are a leader of the country, not the leader of your various political parties. So you are the leader for both members of your party and those that are in opposition parties and those that are non-partisan. So you must, govern comprehensively in an all-encompassing manner that everybody will be carried along, everybody will be brought on board. So uniting the ranks of Nigerians, very, very important. On a final note is this: please don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Very important.
Don't say that for your predecessor there is nothing good about them. No. Okay. For the good things that they have done, please continue. Don't have to start. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel? It is my own program. The way we my own administration, OLUBUNMI administration. So the way we tag it is absolute nonsense.
It's not needed.
It's not needed. Like this current administration at the federal level continued with the projects that have been abandoned by previous administration, and they now also initiated new ones. In the same vein, if there are very good policies, very good programs, very good projects that have been initiated by your predecessors, please continue them. Please continue them. You can review them to be in tune with the demands and the realities of current time. But you don't have to just throw everything away and now want to start from square zero. If that is the problem with Nigeria, everybody wants to start from the beginning. At the end of the day, we never get to the destination. It costs us more because at the end of the day, you jettison what the previous people have done, and at the end of the day, we all suffer it. We waste our resources and so many other things like that. So please and please, we want to tell them, don't just rubbish everything your predecessors have done. Yes. Please.
At least you will find one or two good
things there and credit them where necessary.
Yes.
In fact, there's nothing even wrong in inviting them. I'm succeeding you. Are there some issues, some challenges that you face that you can advise me so that I don't fall into the same trap? There are these are some of these new ideas. Please, is there anything on the basis of your own experience that you can share with me so that I can avoid some pitfalls? There is nothing wrong. We are not enemies. We are Nigerians, and it is the spirit of Nigeria that should actually push us to act
and bring us
together. So, see, it should be about Nigeria. It should not be about just your political party. And remember, see, 4 years, you might think it's very far. It's just here.
Exactly.
And the way our election has gone, see, the truth is, if you don't perform, you will not be re-elected.
You will be voted out.
You will be voted out.
Exactly.
And I promise you that. Because for people like us, we will be watchdogs. As far as education is concerned, we will be watchdogs.
Yes.
And we will not hesitate to call you out if you are doing what is wrong. The same way we would also not fail to give you a commendation where you have done something right. So watch out. Education Today, we are watching you. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. What a discuss segment we had today. Now, that's all we can take on the discuss segment for today. Would like to appreciate our guest for the insights he has provided us. You're welcome to the Words on the Marble segment, where we consider insightful educational quotes. According to Henry Clay, government is a trust, and the officers of the government are the trusters, and both the trust and the trusters are created for the benefit of the people. That's our Words on the Marble for today. Now that the elections are over, winners must understand that the mandate given to them by the people is a trust for which they shall be held accountable. It is now time to work and implement all the programs and projects stated in the various manifestos. Nigerians are yearning for true and positive changes in the way the country is run, and we wish them all the best. Okay, well, do we have a winner?
We'll check our social media handles. We've not got any on WhatsApp as much as I can, but we'll check. For those that have won, we'll contact them. Like we said, the first correct answer. So we have a way by which you can check the time that the answers come in. We asked actually that in what year and what city did Maria Montessori die? And the answer to that actually is
Maria Montessori died in the year 1952 in Amsterdam.
Yeah, in Amsterdam.
1952.
Yes, is a city in the Netherlands. So I will check for the winner and will contact you at the end of the program. Thank you.
And this is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can advertise your products and services and also showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the numbers 0703-953-8998 or 0702-507-4268. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Education Today, on Twitter @Education Today, on Instagram education_figure2day, and you can also send an email to us via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Now you can watch the video of today's program again on Facebook or YouTube via Light Radio. Please like our pages and share our videos to others for them to benefit. And you can also listen to the repeat broadcast of the episode on Radio Garden app on Wednesdays between 2 and 3 p.m. West African time. Many thanks to the entire Education Today crew and the management and staff of Light Radio, and to our supervising producer Said Aremu. Thank you very much. Do join us same time next week on this station, Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim. Goodbye.
Ọmọ tí kò bá ẹ̀kọ́ ó dá mi lójú pé yóò jìyà. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n tún fọ́lé. Ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹni òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n tún fọ́lé. Ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹni òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹni òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
as what you know defines your best vision, understanding, and mentality of the world. You are what you know, as what you know defines your best vision, understanding, and mentality of the world. You are what you know. Light Radio is live on